Good evening and welcome to FinanTV, and this is Coach Greb live talking today about some very important topic. Today our topic is called the power of two healthy habits of wealthy couples. I'm Coach Greb. I'm a writer, an entrepreneur, a financial coach, and a financial advisor. Today is my joy and my calling to be before you to talk about this very important topic. But before we do, I just wanted to say to everybody who doesn't know me, it's a great pleasure to meet you. And if you have never subscribed to our channel, I ask you to do so now, please, so that we can have more people to see what we're doing. Doing this is just a calling. This is what we were called to do on this earth, and we do this with joy. I do this with joy. Today, what we're going to talk about is something that's probably going to help you. That's probably going to change your position. That's probably going to change the mindset. That's probably going to change your relationship with your spouse. That's probably going to change your family's happiness. So please stay tuned. Today, I'm going to give you a few housekeeping rules here before we move forward. So if you have already subscribed, we really thank you. But if you are new, please go ahead and subscribe. This broadcast is live now on FinanTV. On FinanTV Live on YouTube, on Coach Greb Live as well on Facebook. We want also to inform you that we are holding some training for the couples and for entrepreneurs in the coming weeks. So on December 4th, we're going to have Coach Greb's book out. It's called The Triumph of Audacity. That's a book that Coach Greb wrote, and that will be released. That's when we're going to be doing an event for a book signing. On January 1st, there will be a concert which will introduce Coach Greb in his job, which is the Financial Power Movement. Now, as you all know, probably, you're familiar with the financial independence, financial freedom, financial security. But when it comes to financial power, this came from Coach Greb. This is something I teach, and for which I would like for you to register. You can go to Eventbrite and register. Tonight, let's come back to our topic. What are we talking about today? We talk about one of the most important institutions, marriage. You see, marriage, God said, may we all honor marriage, because to God, marriage is very, very important. But there's another topic also that we're going to talk about, which is money. Money is also very, very, very important. As you all know, marriage it's just like an enterprise, To live in an enterprise, for the enterprise to go forward, it needs resources, among which money. So money is at the heart of our lives. We can't deny it. So we have to learn how to manage money, or money will spit at us. It's important, therefore, for us to learn how to control this before it transforms our lives and transforms our society. What is the topic? The topic is healthy couple. It's called the power of two. The Bible said that two are better than one because they get a better income, a better return for their work. Being together in a family as a married couple means that you are partnering in this enterprise, in putting together all the necessary resources to make this enterprise go forward. But another thing that we need to think about before we move forward is that a lot of couples need to understand that wherever your treasure is, there also is your heart. If your heart is your treasure is not inside the marriage, then your heart cannot be inside the marriage. Yet God said that that's where it's not good for men to be alone. That's why man will leave his family and join together with his wife, and the two will become one. So when you become one, you become one in everything. There cannot be financial apartheid, financial individualization. This is a good recipe for chaos. And so that's why today it hurts me to see that some families are opting for financial separation, for financial apartheid. Some of the family live together, but they act as roommates. Okay, you bring your share, I'll bring my share, and that's how they live. But then again, we can't rush into judging, because there are reasons why some couples decided to operate that way. And that you will learn about how it happens and how to settle that throughout this teaching. This is only the first part of the teaching. That's going to go along for many weeks, because we want to bring peace and joy in your family. Now, talking about wealth. Wealth, what is wealth? Because we say healthy couples, or healthy habits of wealthy couples. What's wealth? Wealth is simply everything that concerns money and everything that doesn't concern money. Meaning your life, basically, when you are wealthy, you have money and everything money cannot buy. You cannot buy a relationship, you cannot buy health, you cannot buy happiness, you cannot buy what I call that freedom. Thing you cannot buy that give you fulfillment. That is called wealth. You see, a lot of people limit their notion of wealth to money. Money is part of wealth, but money alone is not wealth. So if you want to retain this definition, is money, wealth is money plus anything money cannot buy. Now, what is health? Of course, health means that a good, peaceful environment in which you live. So you're in harmony with the divine. You're harmony within yourself, and you're in harmony with that, or with your surrounding. Meaning that in your body you're feeling good, right? In your relationship you're feeling good, and in your relationship with God you are feeling good. That's called health, meaning being in a harmony within and without. So healthy couples, the healthy habits are every habit that conduces to making sure that you live a harmonious life within and without. Now that we finished the definition, let's go and look at some statistics and see what's going on. What's the state of money and marriage, or marriage and money? Well, when we look at statistics, first we see that 50% of couples will divorce within 40 years of marriage, meaning that mostly around 8 years people divorce. Young couples, they divorce because of several issues, among which money. They may divorce for many, many reasons, as I said, but money, it becomes at the top of the list, comes at the top of the list. So what I'm saying is that money is something that has shown to be of a great interest to families. 64% of married couples say they manage the money together. Well, they combine the incomes, but combining incomes is just half the battle. What do? Do they stay together? Do they build together? That's the question. 80% of families are reported, 80% of adults, American adults, are reported to be under constant financial stress. 75% of the families supposedly have a budget, but it's not translate in good planning. So folks, we see that money is very important in our lives, and I will demonstrate that. Money is, some people misinterpreted the Bible, saying that money is the root of all evil. Well, that is not correct, and we want to correct that. The love of money, meaning putting money before anything else, of course, is the root of evil. Putting money before the marriage is the root of evil, and we will demonstrate that. Now, what happens in the couple today? When we compare couples with other people, the married couple with people who are not married, statistically, about 43% of married couples said they're happier, against 18% are widowers and 16% of widow and widowers, or 16% of not married people, meaning single people. Meaning that to some extent, being married is a good thing. It brings more joy. But the problem is, we observe a lot of strife in the family because of what I call financial apartheid. You cannot live in a marriage and live like roommate, where you and your spouse pay your fair share of the bills, and that's all you have together. That's not what God planned. As I said, man will leave his family and live unite with his wife, and the two will become one. Meaning that everything else become one. Meaning your money become one, the children become one, the responsibility becomes one. You cannot separate. You can't say, okay, but well, we have everything together, but money. That's not the way it goes. Because wherever your heart, your treasure is, that's also where your heart is. If your heart is not, your treasure is not in a marriage, obviously, your heart is not in the marriage. And that is a good recipe for divorce. Now, we know that in the family, there are several sources of conflict. And as we talk about the different type of relationships, we will teach you the different couples, the different groups of couples. There are 4 of them. But let's quickly look at some of the strifes that come in the family conflict. And as you see them, many of them are linked to money. One of them is called sexual incompatibility or sexual distance. The couple does not have a good sexual life. What can cause sexual dysfunction? Of course, loss of love. Maybe the family is growing apart because of the many discussions, most of which are related to money. So we are separating because there is a resentment. And the love, love has disappeared now. So people don't feel in love anymore, and they don't feel like touching even one another. The excitement is no longer there. Another reason is incompatibility of character. Simply people don't get along. They made a mistake of getting married together, but they really don't get along, and they should never be married together. We also talk about parenting, which of course another issue. People may have different issues with the responsibility. And also, when children come in a marriage, the children in the middle create another type of separation. So that's the one issue we need to consider. And families, another source of disagreement and conflict is that before getting into the marriage, so a lot of people expected so many things that they see now are unmet. That's called unmet expectation. You expected something in a marriage, or you expect something from your spouse, which you don't see, and that causes a resentment. A lot of people also, when this continues, then either originally, at the origin, people didn't have a good communication, a channel of communication, or simply it broke somewhere. People just go into the corners and there is no more communication. There are many, many other reasons why there may be trouble in the family. But as you can see, many of the stress that we go through can be at the origin of those other troubles that we just talked about. When you are constantly under pressure in our 30-day cycle, where you pay the bill and every 30 days you have to pay the bill, the constant renewal of the stress level makes family suffer the strife that we get from this financial engagement, financial responsibilities, especially when you cannot meet them right away or you cannot meet them adequately. So what happens? Money is at the heart of everything. You see, as I said earlier, marriage is an enterprise that needs resources. You need money, You need different kind of support, but money becoming number one. If you don't have money and you have to pay your bills, how are you going to do that? Today, look at what's going on, and I'm not presaging something evil happening, but look at the future. What's going to happen in the next 12 to 18 to 24 months with what's going on today? Inflation is running rampant, but also what's going to happen to the real estate side of the town. A lot of people got into homes that are far ahead or far above the means. You see, people say, oh, well, I'm making money today, yeah, because the job market is really good, nice, thriving. So they got a little bit of increase, and based on that, a lot of people enter some contract, some mortgages that they're gonna realize they can't afford. Because what's gonna happen when those employers can no longer sell product? They will reduce the income. They will probably fire some of them. And when you realize that the money you're making is no longer enough because they're going to reduce, they're going to go back to the original what you're going to pay. What's going to happen? Many people who contracted, who went into debt to get big houses or houses not even big, but the high mortgages, will not be able to afford the mortgages. What's that's going to cause? That's going to cause more strife in the family. That's going to have more weight on the family. So you today need to strategize and prepare for the storm because it's going to come. You see, in the economy, what goes up goes down. It's a cycle. Economy is a cycle, especially real estate market is a cycle. Some people say it's every 7 years. So what goes up definitely going to come down. And when the house that you're living in today goes underwater, meaning that you owe more than the value, the home is valued, and you can even afford because somewhere your income has diminished, this is even more reason to go into conflict in your home. So here is what I suggest today. You see, it does not matter who makes the most money in the home. It does not matter who makes the most money, but working together, not against one another, is the one reason that will help you build financial power. You see, a lot of us, we talk about, well, we talk about transferring wealth. We're going to transfer wealth, to the next generation. It's a good idea. We talk about financial security. It's a good idea. But how are you going to afford that when you're not even preparing today? When you're not building together, how will you ever be able to transfer wealth? You cannot transfer wealth what you have not built. Families that stay together are families that unite their resources together. Now, some people can say, well, I went through that, and my husband, my wife, she spent too much money. I can no longer allow that. I went through that. I have a burnout. I don't want to do it. I agree with you, and I sympathize with you. I understand where you come from. Truly, there have been some mistakes. But that's why you are together and you have each other. You see, marriage, when you say, I do at the altar and before human and man and before God, a human, you simply said, I will accept whatever comes. You are accepted to sacrifice for one another. So continue that sacrifice, because that's what marriages are all about. It's about compromise, accepting what I don't like for the sake of the marriage. Some people say, no, I can't bring my money because my husband spent too much money. Oh, my wife, she spent uncontrollably, so I cannot do that. You are simply sending a signal that this marriage is doomed to fail. That's all you're saying. When you are separating your finances and you believe that you just work and you contribute your fair share of the bills, you are simply, it's a symptomatic of a family that are going to go down the drain. The marriage going down the drain, because if you don't bring together, that is so important to sustain this family, you're not going to live together forever. And guess what? When you don't agree and you go into trouble and you divorce, what happened to the kid? A broken marriage is a broken nation. So we have the corporate and individual responsibility to take care of our finances in our marriages. You cannot say, well, let's go and see a counselor, a marriage counselor. The marriage counselor is going to tell you what? The origin, the root cause of all the strife is probably money. So why don't we learn from the get-go, from the beginning? Let's learn to master that which sustains our marriages. Well, some people tell you, well, money is not important, money is sort of evil, you should never worry about money. I don't think so. Even the God who said that money, the love of money is the source of evil, the Bible, the book of the truth, quoted the Bible 3,500 times. Bible scholars say the Bible quotes money 3,500 times, more than peace, more than love, more than prayer, more than anything. It means that the topic of money is very, very important. And you too should take it seriously, because that your livelihood, your survival depends on that. You cannot neglect money. You cannot organize your birthdays. You cannot plan your trips and neglect the financial life of your marriage. You should make that a priority. Learn together. Learn together, because if you don't learn together, you will still be in that financial apartheid, each person going his own way. No. So, folks, the number one thing I'm stressing tonight is bring all that you own together. Sit down and look at where you're going. You need to bring your money together as if you made it equally. If Peter or Paul or Jane makes $60,000, or Jane and Peter makes $40,000, you are both making $100,000. It's not like well, I make $60,000, you make $40,000, or I make more than you, therefore I make all the decision by myself, because guess what? Who makes more money in this house? That's not how it works. Everything in a marriage is to be commingled and treated together as one. What we're trying to say is that when you marry, you need to sit down and bring together anything that you have earned during the marriage. Anything before the marriage, that is up for discussion. For example, your debt. No, you can't bring your debt into the marriage. But if you brought your debt in a marriage, we need to sit down and see how we can help you. But your debt should never be my debt. Number two, if you have an inheritance, that is your property that your parent worked for and they gave you. It will be up to you to bring it into the marriage for us to share. That is up to you. But it's not an obligation for the other party to benefit from that. So therefore, you need to understand that anything that you acquire during the marriage is what I'm talking about. Nothing you acquire before. Whatever you acquire before, be it debt or be inheritance or be anything you had before, this is up to you. You need to sit down and say, you know what, honey? Well, I work hard and I have this much money. I'm availing this money for the family. Because marriage is an agreement. That's why we all need to sit down. That's why we sign the paper. It's an agreement to do something together, to share life together. But before the marriage, we were separate bodies, separate entities. And therefore, we have to agree if those things that pre-existed the marriage should be considered in the marriage. That's how you want to handle this. Now, in the marriage, what should we do? Somebody asked a question as to, well, what's the question here? Should we have a separate account? Well, let me answer that question. Should we have separate accounts? Well, in a marriage, we have different accounts. We have investment account, which is a brokerage account where we invest. We have the expense account. We have a different type of account. We have a retirement account. Everybody knows that there's an account where you will pitch from to pay the bills. That account is a commingled account. The investment account is also a commingled account. But retirement account, they're done before they even come. But what you should do is that, number one, when it comes to brokerage accounts, you can have one brokerage account. When it comes to retirement account, you have individual retirement account. Of course, you can't have a same account for two people. That's not what the law allows. If it's an IRA or whatever you have, you still have individual account. So you have separate account. But as to funding this account, you need to agree. If you're going to, for example, have an IRA account and the other person going to have an IRA account, honey, well, we're going to put $7,000 in yours, $7,000 in mine. We agree on that. Where the money comes from, if the money is a traditional, it comes straight from your income, right? If it's a Roth IRA, then it comes from both of us because I can pitch in and you can pitch in. There's technicality to this. And if you want to follow our classes, we'll go into the detail of this. But when it comes to the account that you use to spend money on, like to pay the bills, it should be a commingled account. You should never be, well, you pay for the child care and I pay for these things. That's still, what if the one person makes less money than the other? What's going to happen? And I cannot afford. There's still going to be, when there's income inequality, what's going to happen? There is unequal responsibility. And that puts one person below the other. And that's an issue. We also need to understand that even though we have a common account, the United account, we need to give some freedom, some leverage to people to have individual accounts, like a small expense account. So the husband has his own account for his own personal expenses, and the wife has her own personal account for personal expenses. And everybody should be able to know what's going on. That's called the ability, transparency. You have to be transparent. If your wife spends money, you should know about it. Your husband spends money, you should know about it. There's no hiding, doing things, hiding from the other person, because that is going to impact your level of trust. Well, this is really important. And as I'm talking about this issue, I want to also talk about the issue of trust. Because if you're in a marriage and you don't trust one another, you cannot bring anything together. Because you cannot work together if you don't trust each other. You cannot work together if you don't agree. The Bible said that two cannot work together if they don't agree. You cannot agree with somebody if you don't trust the person. You cannot trust the person. You cannot commingle your finances with the person you don't trust. It's not possible. So folks, you need to create a platform of trust. Because why do some people refuse to bring the money together? Because they don't trust the other person. Maybe in the past, the person has shown that she spends too much money, or he spends too much money, and the other person doesn't like it. Or one other person's lost money in some kind of frivolous ways, or the other person simply think that another person is not making enough effort to contribute. Therefore, they don't want to separate the finances. Another person can say, well, I want to be free, I don't want to be controlled, but that's a problem. You see, when it comes to the family, it's not about controlling anybody. It's not about being free. It's about making compromises, making sure that both parties do participate. And I shall say equally. You see, marriage is about partnership, and two partners must understand that to some extent there must be fairness, and there must be equal in a marriage. There's no way husband is more powerful, is more authoritarian, is more authority than the wife. That's not how it goes, because the Bible says, and two he created them. Two he created them in that they were created both equal from the beginning. They were not separated. There's no one that's in authority than the other. Mostly, our society has made it in a way that mostly the man makes more money than the wife. So that given the husband an undue authority over the wife. And that authority has carried on. But to be honest with you, that shouldn't be. Marriage should be where we unite together as an equal partner, and if you make $2 and I make $5, It does not matter who makes the most money. We bring it together and we plan together. The first habit, therefore, in a couple that we talk about today is the ability to unite your resources. The first habit is to unite your resources, because wherever your treasure is, that's also where your heart is. If your treasure is in the family, then anything else will be in this family. Folks, today we talk about the power of two, the healthy habits of wealthy couple. And today we focus on the importance of uniting your earnings, to get together, to invest together, to spend the money together, to save together. Everything is together. Yet you can still have individual accounts, be it a retirement account or spending account. So for your own freedom to do whatever you want to do at your leisure, without being forced to first ask questions, to ask for permission. But at the same time, you must be able to be transparent. The other person must know how much you're spending. It does not matter. Just transparency is the heart of the game. Guys, if you don't trust one another, you can't work together. And living together is trusting one another to build together. When we talk about generational wealth, we build it on trust. Folks, it's been a pleasure for me to share this moment with you. We're going to continue teaching you about this type of topic. Today we talk about uniting your funds to build together. That's how you can build generational wealth. In the forthcoming days, we will be continue teaching you. Every Thursday, you will receive this kind of teaching, and I'm looking forward to talking to you next Thursday. For now, I say thank you for following this part. Please do not forget to like us, to comment what we said. If you didn't like something we said, please say it. If you like what we said, say it. And please post some issue that you'd like for us to talk about, so we can improve what we do. Today is the first of many of a series of teaching, and today it's been my pleasure to share with you. For now, I say thank you for listening and for watching. I see you soon. This has been Coach Greb Live on FinanTV, on Coach Greb Live on Facebook, and on FinanTV on YouTube. Thank you, and see you soon. Bye-bye.